Hello there. I think we had a few technical problems a moment ago, so I apologise for that. I think we just lost internet connection for a moment, so I just logged back on. So welcome to Eating Mindset and day 2 of Fat-Free Facts to help you feed your loved one with COVID-19. And yesterday we looked at fluids. I'm sorry I got really a bit waffly towards the end. That's because my children started fighting upstairs, and so I was very distracted. But hopefully it was still useful to you. Today seems to be a bit calmer so far, and we're going to tackle the issue of how you can boost the nutritional value of common everyday foods. So first of all, why? Why is that important? Well, it's really important because if you're not feeling well, particularly with this bug, you tend to have a high temperature and you are struggling to breathe, you really don't feel like eating very much. And if you don't feel like eating very much, then it's hard to get adequate nutrition. And at the same time, because you have a fever, you have slightly increased nutritional requirements. So it's kind of like a double whammy, really, and a vicious circle. So what we need to do is to make sure that everything that the person we're trying to support eats contains as much nutrition as is humanly possible in the small portions that they're going to manage to get through. And so a really good way to do that is to what we in the profession call fortify, so to increase the nutritional value of foods that you would eat as a matter of course during the day, just across a normal weekly meal plan. So for this, really, your best friends for boosting up the nutritional value of common everyday foods are cheese, milk powder, nut butter and ground nuts, and sugary stuff, whether that be sugar itself, jam, honey, or any of the alternatives that we're normally trying to avoid. And it's really important at this point to point out that this is not a time to be worried about the fact that your loved one, the person that you're trying to support, may be a bit overweight, because the most important thing is that they get adequate nutrition to meet their energy requirements while they're sick, because that will help them to get better faster. So please don't think this is a great opportunity for them to lose weight, because actually it will just make it more difficult for them to get better, and that's not what you want at all. We also need to be making sure that they get adequate protein and vitamins and minerals for the general functioning and renewal of the body, and so good nutrition is absolutely critical at this time. If the person you're trying to support has a specific medical condition, perhaps you're worried because they have diabetes, you're worried about their blood sugars, or they may have a food intolerance or an allergy, or be following a special diet with some kind of gastrointestinal condition, then do speak to their dietitian or talk to them about the sorts of foods that they would normally be trying to avoid, because you may need to continue to comply with that. But for most people, for the short period of time that you're supporting them whilst they're unwell, the course of the disease is kind of about 5-10 days usually, and so during that time, really just boost up the nutrition any which way you can, and don't worry too much about the fat and the sugar. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you how you can use your 4 new best friends, cheese, milk powder, nut butters and ground nuts, and the sugary stuff, sugar, jam, honey, that kind of thing, in order to fortify foods. So let's take cheese first of all. Cheese is best added to foods grated, and it's always good to stick with a cheese that has a high moisture content and a low melting point. So you're looking at cheeses like cheddar or Gruyere, because they're really easy to mix into things without getting any clumping. So you can add cheeses to things like soups, mashed potatoes, sauces, vegetables, all of that works really well. So if you're putting a meal together for someone that you're trying to support and it contains any of those things, just think, well, could I get more nutrition in by adding some cheese? And by adding the cheese, what you're adding is a bit of calcium, you're adding some protein, and you're adding some energy from the extra fats that will be present. So it's a really good thing to be adding to foods. I'm going to put some recipes on my page later, and those recipes will include some soup recipes that contain cheese anyway, because actually there are quite a lot of soup recipes that are cheesy, and they're very nourishing. There's some fantastic soup and potato recipes that would be really good if you were trying to support someone through this illness. So that's cheese. That's your number one friend. Your next friend is milk powder. Now, you can use milk powder to simply boost up the nutritional value of a pint of milk. So just take a pint of milk and add about 4 tablespoons of milk powder to that pint. Shake it up, mix it up, blend it up if you want to, and you'll have increased the calorie and the protein content of the milk. And then you can use it as you would normally in any recipe. But you can also add milk powder to things like creamy soups, so cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, that sort of thing. Any of the milk puddings, custards, rice puddings, semolina, tapioca, any of those sorts of things. And of course, just smoothies and milkshakes. It tends to blend in better if you do use a blender, or if you've got one of those really powerful ones like a NutriBullet or a Nutri-Ninja, then you can definitely avoid the clumps. So that would be really my tip there. And I put some recipes on the page yesterday for smoothies, so I hope you had a chance to take a look at those. And you can add extra milk powder to any of those recipes. The next one is nut butters, or you could try adding ground nuts like ground almonds or something like that. So nut butters, you can get all sorts of different nut butters now in the shops. So we often think of peanut butter, so that's definitely one, but you can get almond butter, cashew nut butter. So just have a look around and see what you can get. Go to your health food shop if you need to. And you can add that to things like porridge, smoothies again, and some of the recipes I put on the page yesterday already had nut butter included in the smoothie recipes. Veggie soups and chicken soups. When you add sort of nuts to a soup, it kind of gives it that a really interesting kind of African flavour, which is great. Or you can add something like ground almonds to a tagine. So again, later on, I'm going to be putting some recipes up there for soups that have nuts in, so you can get a little bit of a feel for how you might go about adding nut butters to those sorts of food products. And finally, the sugary stuff, so sugar, jam, honey, all of those sorts of things, anything sugary really. You can add to any cereal or porridge, and again blend it into smoothies, or even you could use it to glaze vegetables. So what can be really nice is having some carrots sort of glazed with honey. That can be very beneficial, because then you're not increasing the bulk. This is the whole idea of this. You're not increasing the bulk of the food you're asking the person to eat at all. You're just boosting up the nutritional content. So they're still eating the same tiny amount, but they're getting much more nourishment from it. So I hope that was helpful. Short and sweet today. Your 4 best friends: cheese, milk powder, nut butter and ground nuts, and the sugary stuff, sugar, jam, honey, etc. Do have a go at adding those to products, and do look out on my page for recipes later today. And if you've got any questions at all about how to support a loved one through this illness with good nutrition, do post them up on my page, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching. I know hundreds of you are watching every day. Most people don't watch live, but it's really great that you're getting involved. But it would be lovely to get a few more comments and thoughts coming on the page as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.